I'm going to go over Tesla and Palantir on the 5-minute time frame and give you some price targets for Monday. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I watched a lot of Formula One this weekend, and congratulations to Max Verstappen there for winning once again. Now, Tesla ended the week at $234.30, up 0.30%. The day's range on the low side, 226.54. On the high side, 237.39. For the week, we are up a whopping 11%. Congratulations if you've made some money off of Tesla. And the 1-year price target is still 239.38, which represents a 2% return from where we are. This is where we landed at the middle of the trend. To the north side, and resistance takes us to roughly 242.29. Above that, another take profit area, depending upon where you bought in, 246.19. And another level of resistance, should we be so lucky in one day to get to 4 standard deviations, that would be 250.05. Now, to the south side, at -2 standard deviations and a level of support and a possible buy-in area, 226, roughly 71, -3 standard deviations, and another possible buy-in area and a potential area for price to bounce to the upside, 222.77, and at -4 standard deviations, 218.82. Let's talk about gaps next. This gap to the upside has not filled. I talked about that previously. It starts at roughly 240.47, closes out at 242.41. And I will anticipate this to close this week. And to the downside, this gap that I talked about made it basically halfway to the target of 224.08 and then bounced up off of support. So this gap is still in play to the downside at 224.08. So if you're in Tesla, this is a potential area where it could be going to this week. So pay attention to that and set your sell limits if you're trying to get out. We have another gap that I talked about down here that has not closed. That would take Tesla to roughly 193.32. The RSI is at 47 and pointing down. On the daily, the RSI is going up at 54. For the weekly, we are at 50, turning up. And on the monthly, we are also turning up at 51. Plenty of room to go to the upside before we are overbought. Now let's take a look at Palantir. The RSI on the monthly is at 61. On the weekly, we are at 67, nearing the overbought zone where I anticipate people will be taking their profits and getting out. So it will go down after that. No stock price or RSI stays up without taking a beating at some point and going down and consolidating or basing before possibly another leg up. Just look left and you can see that happening right here. It got above 70 and started to tank. Down here at 30, oversold, people bought in, started to run. Those are patterns you can definitely look for. On the daily, we are overbought, so I will anticipate some selling off on the daily, if that's the time frame that you like to play in. I'm going to flip this back to the 5-minute. We've got some room to go to the upside. On the RSI at 61, I am in Palantir and Tesla. So I will be looking at this and setting some sell limits. I want to take some profit and get out. On the 5-minute time frame, we ended the week at $20.49. It's taken a long time to get back into the 20s. Up 3.64% on the day's low, $19.66. The day's high, $20.58. The 52-week low, $5.92. I think I bought in somewhere around the 6s. At one point, I bought in many different times. And the 52-week high is $20.58. For the week, we are up more than 12%. For the month, 17%. Year to date, 211%. And under the technicals, it's considered neutral right now under the analyst rating. And we already met the 1 year price target, which needs to be adjusted at 1566. This is where we ended right here at 2051 to the north side, 2062, 2088, and at 4 standard deviations and another take profit area, $21.12 to the south side, back at the middle of the trend where price rests before making its way to the upside or downside. It passes through there. If this hits this line, this is support, and I will anticipate buying in at support and grinding along this line or going sideways before making its way back up or back down. At -2 standard deviations, we are looking at 1961, 1936, and 1911. We have, what do we have here? I'm going to flip this to the daily time frame. Oh, I did buy some also at apparently $10.73. All right, we are right here. This white line here is the Tip Ranks analysts projection of where price will go at $18, and we blew through that. 2 standard deviations takes us to 2181. And back at the middle of the trend on the daily takes us to roughly 1770. And at -2 standard deviations takes us to roughly 1350. If we make it down here, I will anticipate a massive buy-in at 1350, 51-ish. The RSI, as I mentioned, at 70 here, so people will be taking their profits, so watch out for that. And it might be an opportunity to get in for you if you're waiting for price to come back down a little bit. But I will not be buying in until it gets down maybe, into the $15 range or $17 range. It just depends. And we just had earnings there. We met earnings and revenue. And then looking left on this chart here, note the bounce at -2 standard deviations and below, a possible buy-in area, another possible buy-in area, and another possible buy-in area down here. And if we are down here and we ride up, this is resistance, so it has to grind through this area before price goes up or back down. But again, this is what I consider the resting place for price. And it went through up to here where we are, as I mentioned. So I anticipate a sell-off anytime we hit resistance. It did that. Now it's trying to climb its way back up and hopefully just go to here so I can get some profits out. And then it'll come back down, and I anticipate it to go back to the middle of the trend there at some point. That does it for me. That's a look at Palantir and Tesla on the 5-minute time frames.